Welcome to a Good E-Reader Roundtable. My name is Michael.
My name is Peter.
We're going to talk about a few things today.
Yeah.
Barnes & Noble related news, the dual screen e-readers, whatever happened to them, and will we see a resurgence, and also Walmart. Would you buy ebooks and audiobooks from Walmart.com?
Right.
So first of all, let's talk about Barnes & Noble. They've sacked an indeterminate but a notable amount of digital leads. So this is people who are in the Nook division, the website, cashiers, customer service, pretty well everyone.
General,
and this is primarily due to the fact that over the holiday season, sales fell 6% and online sales dropped 4.5%. So down, significantly, but not as in they're going to go bankrupt imminently. They've also hired a new executive in charge of chief merchandising, and he came from Target and a bunch of other companies worth billions of dollars. So can Barnes & Noble hire and fire their way out of the situation that they're in? Let's discuss. This is the gist of the story. They have about 26,000 people who work for them. Their stock has declined massively over probably the last year. Barnes & Noble Nook Education, which split off of Barnes & Noble's, actually their stock is actually worth more than Barnes & Noble. Last time I checked, Barnes & Noble's stock was about $4 and change. And I bought Barnes & Noble stock about 2 years ago, and I bought it at around $8, and then I sold it
right before it tanked.
So sold it right before it tanked. So I feel good about that, but Barnes & Noble stock deplorable. Holiday sales for retailers, I mean, that is the critical time of year. You look at, say, in our country, Chapters Indigo, no debt, most profitable quarter ever this holiday season that they reported, and they're expanding into the US sometime in 2018, early 2019, store in New Jersey. So you'll see an Indigo books and music store in the US for the first time.
Under the Indigo moniker, not like
totally.
Chapters
So it's like, if you've never heard of Indigo, we'll show you some pictures of it. And
it's basically like Barnes & Noble sells the Nook at Barnes & Noble, and we have the Kobo line of e-readers at Chapters, Indigo, or Kohl's.
I mean, Indigo is like a lifestyle store.
So they have like pillows and stuff. They got like wicker chairs and all sorts of stuff.
They have all sorts of like higher end type stuff that you actually can't find anywhere else.
It's not
these
just
days.
books. Totally.
So let's talk about Barnes & Noble. We've been following Barnes & Noble for
long time.
Years.
We've been through, ever since they had the Nook into the Nook tablets, the Nook Color, the Nook Samsung Galaxy Tab, which was the weirdest release of an e-reader company's device I've ever seen, because what they just basically did was didn't make their own hardware that year, found a company that already made a tablet, the Samsung Galaxy Tab, and just put a bunch of preloaded Nook crap on there and put the Nook logo on the back and called it their own, even though it wasn't. And it was super bogged down with all this stuff and super restrictive, and it made no sense, and it wasn't really any cheaper or anything. So I
think the reason of that is like when Barnes & Noble did like the Nook Color, the Nook tablets, Nook HD, HD Plus. I mean, that was at the time from like 2009 to about 2012 when like tablets were big. Everyone was releasing tablets, if you recall. And now it's sort of like, the only really tablets of note these days is like Samsung, Apple,
Asus to a lesser degree, even Amazon is more popular nowadays. Amazon tablets for being super cheap. I've noticed, $49 tablets.
They're like top 3 worldwide now in terms of sales, and it's just because of that like $49 tablet.
Absolutely crazy,
but I mean, Barnes & Noble got into tablets at the right time, and then you know, tablets started tanking, and so rather than like them continue to spend money on product design,
Making
testing, Q&A, software, they were just like, let's just outsource everything to Samsung, just preload all our own apps on it, which was like the worst mistake they've ever done.
Pretty bad, and they're even in their e-reader realm, they're pretty hit or miss. They make some good stuff like the Nook Simple Touch, fantastic, first guys to do glow light. Not well, of course. Based on what
Sony did it originally, but then Barnes & Noble did it right.
Yeah. And then they release some e-readers that are like, it looked like a bar of soap with a weird bronze on it, and it was waterproof, but the shell wasn't really put together well, and you're like, what am I looking at here? And now they go back to the Barnes & Noble Nook Glow Light 3, which looks like the Simple Touch, so you're kind of like, they're all over the place a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, why are we talking about the Nook? Well, Nook has lost over $1.4 billion for Barnes & Noble since they started making e-readers and tablets to about 2017. So $1 billion in losses on hardware.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of money.
If you Barnes & Noble during their financial statements don't even mention Nook anymore because it's just like
it throws
down.
Off the average.
Yeah, it just it's down, it's down, it's down, it's down, it's down.
In the most general sense, we're down this quarter. Yeah,
and it's the same thing. To try to make Nook profitable, they removed Nook Video.
Yeah.
They removed the Nook App Store.
Right.
They closed down the UK Nook bookstore and fired everyone working in the UK. They suspended their relationship with Microsoft, which was the only way for Europeans to shop on Barnes & Noble. So it's like they cut costs and are trying to make Nook profitable, but it's the same thing with like firing everyone in the bookstores. It's like you can't fire your way to profitability because you have to look at severance fees. Barnes & Noble will have to pay
every single employee.
They've said that they're looking with this firing that they'll save $40 million, but they'll have to pay $11 million in severance fees for firing everyone. Will people buy audiobooks and ebooks from Walmart? As you know, Kobo and Walmart formed an exclusive deal
in the States,
where Kobo e-readers will be available in all Walmart stores, and it'll be audiobooks and ebooks available online from Walmart.com. Kobo said that them and Walmart are releasing a co-branded app. Walmart is huge. I mean, there's 600 Barnes & Noble stores in the US.
Right.
There's indie bookstores help fill the gap, because Barnes & Noble are just in major markets for the most part. Your mom and pop bookstore, that's how most people buy books in small town, rural America. But Walmart has 6,000 locations.
Yeah, it's a big employer.
Yeah, and they are in small towns, or there's within driving distance, there's a Walmart for you to go to. Yep. Walmart is one of the largest mass market paperback retailers in the U.S. Because they have sheer amount of stores, and so they do have magazine and book sections where they say like paperback books, the latest magazines, James Patterson, John Grisham. Yep. This is the first time since Borders in around like 2011 that Kobo will be selling e-readers in the U.S. So you can try before you buy. Something that you weren't able to do before.
Right.
And what do you think about Kobo and Walmart's strategic alliance?
It's a smart move. I mean, whether, like Mike said, if you're in a major metropolitan hub, or if you're in a smaller town off a freeway somewhere, there's a Walmart. Walmarts are everywhere, and they sell everything. But a lot of people were like, oh, I'm not buying no Walmart garbage. But it's not like you're getting a knockoff, lower quality version of an audiobook or an ebook. It's not going to be the great value equivalent or the President's Choice equivalent of an ebook. It's going to be the same ebook. You know what I mean? Like you go and you say, Heinz ketchup or like tomato ketchup, and it's great value. Yeah. And it's cheaper. It's not going to be
sugary tomato paste.
Yeah. It's not going to be like, I don't know, Pierce Brosnan reading this audiobook and then some no-name hillbilly reading the other one. It's going to be the same product no matter what it is. It's an ebook or an audiobook. It's just gonna be available through Walmart. I see no absolute problem with it. A lot of people are thinking there's gonna be a lack in quality. That's not the case.
It's basically Kobo for their entire life has been looking at markets that don't have a lot of ebook competition, that isn't dominated by Amazon, and they run in there, they form partnerships with local bookstores so they could target their ideal customer, which are book readers, sell Kobo e-readers, sell ebooks through like Bowl.com, Funac, all these companies, and that was their focus. Kobo in Walmart locations gives people a chance to play around with Kobo e-readers. Amazon has like less than 12 bookstores in the US.
Right.
They're all in major markets. So you can't really play with a Kindle before you buy it in a meaningful way. But now with Kobo, you actually can.
Oh, the 32 gigabyte limited edition. It's not even available in Canada.
Yeah, it's just
only
US
Japan
only.
or US. So like, yeah, I mean, it would be great if we had that, but it's nice that they are entering the market in the US with such an amazing product.
Yeah, so the next thing we wanted to talk about is dual screen e-readers.
And we're not talking the Entourage Edge made in 2010 with the 240 by 420 LCD on one side and black and white monochrome on the other side.
Yeah, I mean,
this is like legitimate stuff.
That was the Pocket Edge. They actually had like a 9.7 screen, but it didn't do so well because it was like over $1,000. But yeah, I mean, LCD on one side, e-ink on the other side, Android experience on one side, ebook reading app on the other.
It's a good concept. It was just failed execution.
Yeah, it was a little before its time.
Yeah, it was a great idea.
But I mean, E-Ink recently unveiled a prototype foldable e-reader at SID Display Week 2017. Got a lot of attention. I actually recently emailed one of the product designers for that, and they said that they're constantly trying to refine the prototype. It's not the stage yet where anybody could like place an order for it or have it made. They're still working out the kinks. They said at SID 2018 they'll have a prototype version 2. If you look at dual screen e-readers, they've kind of gotten... There's a number of them that have been released lately. Yes. The Guido, which is aimed at musicians.
Now, this wasn't one that is technically an e-reader. It's more of an e-ink device. And yeah, it's made in Japan. It's $1,400, I believe, base price, kind of US equivalent. And it wasn't a... we'll show you some pictures, of course. It wasn't an e-ink screen that folded. It was two e-ink devices. So it was hinged in the middle by a bezel, and it allowed it to open and close respectively. It was very expensive. It only does limited
PDFs.
Limited usability, but it's really cool because it has like a remote foot pedal you can use for when you're playing piano and stuff.
To automatically turn the pages.
Yeah, so in that respect, it's really cool. It's just the thing about dual screens is that there's literally twice as much product involved. Yeah. Twice as much plastic, components, flex cables, batteries, stress on the processing unit. So it's going to come with a heavy price tag, and that was evident with what you touched on earlier with the E1 Note.
Yeah, so this is another product out of Japan, and it's funny because like both dual screen e-readers, the Guido and the E1 Book, they're both by Japanese companies.
That's true.
Made and manufactured, designed in Japan.
That's right.
So it's not like sourced out to China or like Taiwan or anything like that, which is actually kind of impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty rare these days.
So the E1 Book is geared towards manga. It comes preloaded with manga. I believe that the screens are like around like 10.3 inches, opens and closes like a book, but they come like loaded with I think one of them right now is Fist of the North Star, so it has like all like I think like 50 volumes, and you pay like about like $400. We've talked about this before.
We touched on it on a news blast, I
but
believe.
They are going to be releasing different versions with like different manga editions in it. They said that they are going to wrap up manufacturing. I actually just talked to them in March, so they're actually sending us a review unit mid-March that they said. So we'll be the first guys to actually do unboxing review of the E1 Note, so you can stay tuned for that. We also reviewed the Guido. So
we did on location.
You can check out the description of this video to check it out. The developers, incidentally, the guy who was in charge of developing the Guido, he was the guy that designed the original DPTS-1 from Sony, the digital paper. Yeah, so this guy has product design sense and has like a good track record of making products.
Well, so once again, the E1 Note, it's very one purpose use device.
That's
but
right.
Again, it's expensive.
That's right.
Because you have so much more physical things you need to actually put together in a unit.
So what we're really getting at is the Guido and E1 Note, singular purpose devices, sheet music, manga.
That's it.
But there's really nowhere in between. There's no dedicated ebook reader where
or like a vanilla Android experience or something.
That's right. In contrast, doing like a 6-inch e-reader, or the market is flooded with those, like Pocketbook, Icarus, Boyu, Onyx. There's no shortage of 6 to 7-inch e-readers in the market. The price barrier for those are not very much, but with dual screen e-readers, because there's really none of them out there. There's no reference point for manufacturers.
True.
That the price just hugely goes up. But is there a market for it? You know, a company could spend, say $2 million to have something like this made, but would customers buy a product like that if it was like anywhere between $5,000 and $1,000?
Yeah, it's tight, just because, like I said, there's a lot of components there. It's a lot going on. There's no frame of reference, and only one other guy basically did 2 big 13.3s, and that's the Guido, and it's a hefty price tag right out of the gates.
People are still using Entourage
And, yeah,
edges.
and
There's
no,
still like
there's-
there's a modding community that writes
niche
their own
markets.
firmware
Yep.
updates. So I mean, the Entourage edge is still being used, which maybe shows that LCD on one side, e-ink on the other, but like using e-ink Carta, using
a proper e-ink, not a monochrome LCD. A
totally
proper e-ink,
using like
yeah.
a OLED screen with like
Something.
thousands of like colors of
Right.
of pixels of resolution. I mean, drop a comment below. We'd love to hear
Absolutely.
your thoughts
That's why we
on
do this.
on Walmart selling ebooks and audiobooks online, their strategic alliance with Kobo. Can Barnes & Noble fire their way to success? And do you think that there's a future with dual screen e-readers? We'd like to hear from you. If you have any ideas for future videos, also drop a comment below for goodereader.com and the Roundtable, which is actually Square. My name is Michael.
This is Peter.
Everybody take care.